The national economy is recovering, the stock market is increasing, real estate is turning over, we have low energy prices with the price of gas. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been rising over the last 3 years, approximately 39%, and in excess of 8% over from last year to 2013 to 2014. So these are all good things as we look forward with regard to our AV growth and the way the rating agencies look at our district and view the future in the San Francisco Bay Area. The same things are occurring in the state of California. Unemployment is decreasing in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is a positive outlook as the rating agencies look at our bonds. On the state front, when the governor issued his proposed budget in January, he had indicated he was not going to support a proposal for school facilities bonds. He identified several problems, and they're listed up here, that they're overly complex, they're on a first-come, first-served basis, and the state bond debt is not associated with the school's Proposition 98. So those are some of the reasons why the governor is not supportive of the statewide bond issue. Now, with saying that, there was a coalition submitted by the Coalition of Californians for Quality Schools submitted a statewide facilities bond initiative. They're looking at getting a $9 billion bond measure later in November, I believe, with the dollars going to those areas that I have up on the slide. $3 billion for K-12 facilities, $3 billion for modernization, $2 billion for capital outlay for community colleges, small amount for charter schools, and a small amount for career technical education. This next slide is probably something you haven't seen before. What this shows is on the very top portion of revenues that we've budgeted and the expenses. Now this is laid out in a similar format that the school district reports to the state. So all our financial statements that we report to the state and the way that our auditors look at our financial statements and report back to the district and report back to the state of California is in a similar format, which lists certificated salaries, classified salaries, employee benefits, materials and supplies, other contracted services and operating expenses, capital outlay, and then other outgo and transfers. So I'm showing you this because this is the way that a school board sees our fiscal reports with regard to Fund 21 and Fund 35 and Fund 40 and all other our other capital financial statements. And this is the way that gets reported on our audit reports to both the state, the governing board, and to the public. So I'm trying to align the way everybody else sees our financial information and trying to give you that same view. And that way you as a committee can go back to audited financial statements and align expenditures that are in the audit report with what I'd like to be presenting to this committee, on top of the KPI reports that you'll also be getting monthly. So this is a little different view, and playing catch-up here, so I've listed the months from July through December, and the total expenses are on this line. We did have a transfer in November. We transferred dollars to Fund 35, approximately $45 million.
So explain what Fund 35 is for the committee in the different, well, Fund 21 is a bond program.
Fund 21 is a bond program. Fund 35, I believe, is a developer fee.
State reimbursement.
State reimbursement, excuse
Yes.
me.
Yes.
State reimbursements for projects that we have submitted for reimbursements to the state.
Is that also the state matching funds, or is that something
Yes.
else?
That's the same thing.
That's what it is.
State matching funds, state
Dollars.
reimbursements
Yeah.
go into Fund 35.
Yeah, because I certainly applaud this effort to get us to see the same kinds of reports. And maybe we can even look to our bonds KPI summary report to start becoming somewhat familiar with the funds 21 or Fund 45 or Fund 35, in addition to the nomenclature that, describes what it stands for. So I really applaud this effort to have us start looking, at these numbers the same way that other entities or so forth see them.
Right, so if there are questions by committee members or others, if you were to go to the County Office of Education to look up and verify what's spent or what's been presented to this committee, they would give you something in this format. So this will give you the option to align those other documents that get filed with the state and they get audited and reported to our board. So we'll be aligning that same information with the KPI reports and those actual expenditures that occur during the month and occur during the fiscal year. So you'll be able to align the information from the various reports that will be presented to you with other official documents that get reported to the board and they get filed with the County Office of Education and the state of California.
Question. If you go to the first, the box set in regard to itemization, the variance between budget actual and budget revised seems like it was, you had the $8 million in services and other operating expenses, which went to 15. Was there a particular, what was impactful for that? You went negative September on the actual. You come down to capital outlay, it was cut in half, and it goes across, it comes up with a budget of a remainder, a balance of 21 million. Decisions, reasons?
So these columns here are actual expenses, and those will fluctuate from month to month,
Okay.
depending on the invoices that we receive.
Okay.
You'll notice that starting probably after July vacations, that the payroll has been pretty consistent, and the benefits will be pretty consistent.
Okay.
The biggest fluctuations will occur in the capital outlay, and that's from our larger contractors, and it's all dependent on when we get those invoices from our contractors. That's why you see some of the fluctuations. Sometimes they'll bill us for millions of dollars one month, and then the billing's either late or we have questions on it, and it might be paid in a different month. You'll notice that I think in December it's almost $16 million in expenses, which is quite different than September or October. So next month you'll get one for just the month of January, not unless you'd like to see and compare month to month to month to month. So I could add the month of January onto this report, which might make it a little tighter to see, or I can just present the month of January to the committee. That's at your pleasure.
Just one last thing. The change orders, do they factor into the variances that we see that may various months?
Yes, they could.
Okay.
This will help us in future years in budgeting in these areas as we present the budgets to the board in the future.